G'day guys, I've recently painted my Patrol and I'm looking to protect my paint. So we've made a set of sliders. This is a kit from DIY Customs. If you guys are looking at making your own kit, head to DIY Customs website, the link's in the description, and check out their range of weld together kits. So these are the easiest sliders that you'll ever make. They're all 42mm pipe by 3mm wall thickness, which is perfect strength for sliders. They come out to you pre-notched and pre-bent, which cuts out machinery such as notches and benders, which is great for beginners because all that you need is a welder and you can have a fully custom set of sliders. All the kits are Australian made, and the boys have a bunch of new products coming, such as ladder racks and weld-on brackets for these sliders. Their website is currently under work while they add a bunch of these new products, so if you can't find something and it's not listed on their website, feel free to give them a call and I'm sure the boys will be happy to work things out with you. So if you guys have never fabricated anything for your car before, you might be wondering, where the heck do I start? What do I need to do? The first thing you want to do is take some measurements. You need to know what you want the sliders to look like and how you want them to fit your car. So get under your car, take some measurements. The first measurement you want is the overall length of the slider. So that's the back bar, it's the main piece of your slider, and that's what will sort of dictate the rest of the build. So in order to measure the main bar, you want to take a measurement from just behind the front mudguard to just in front of the rear flare. Once you have that measurement, you want to basically cut it down to the nearest 100mm. So if you've got 1750, take it down to 1700. DIY Customs make their kit by the 100mm, so you want to get it down to that nearest measurement. This is the main section of pipe. This is the main part of the slider. This is what everything will be welded to, and this is what will dictate the length measurement of your slider. So I've opted for 1800 long. The boys offer a vehicle specific kit for the Patrols at 1700 long, but just like I did, you can opt for a different size if that's what you want. So this is where that pipe will sit and everything else will be welded to it. The third step is choosing the design that you want. So DIY Customs offer 3 kits. 2 are available on their website right now and the third one is coming shortly. The first 2 are standard and single kickout, and the third kit is a double kickout, which is what I'll be building today. I'll be able to give you guys a look at what those 3 designs look like on the vehicle shortly. The fourth step is choosing how many infill pieces you want. So these are the little pieces of pipe that will basically crisscross or go diagonally between the inner bar and the outer bar. And these bars are just cross bracing, and they also add a cool design, cool look to your sliders. So the standard kit will come with 4 weld-in infill pipe, and that's 2 each side. The single kick out will come with 4 small sections of pipe and 2 large sections of pipe, and that will give you 2 small pieces and 1 large piece on each side. So the next step is your chassis brackets. So choosing how you want to mount them and whether you want these included with the kit or if you want to make them yourself. So one option for the chassis mounts is to order it in flat bar. So they will send out 2 lengths of 1500mm long, so that's 1.5 meters, and it's 40mm wide by 5mm thick. So it's fairly substantial chassis mounts, really strong. The other option is to have them send out brackets already folded up to the measurements that you've sent to them. This here is a slider mount. So this is the chassis side. So this goes up under the chassis and goes around it, and then a bolt will go through the top. This is what you need to measure, the height and the width of the bracket. This piece here is the other part of the chassis mount. So this will weld onto the back of this, and then this side over here will go to your slider. And this here is the gusset that the boys offer, and this will sit just like this between the chassis bracket and the pipe. So if you're ordering these as a U-piece, you need to let them know how many you want and at what size. So that's a vertical measurement and a width measurement of your chassis, and you need to measure that in each position that you want them on the chassis. So it's fairly common for cars to differ in their chassis size as they progress through. Sometimes the chassis will bend in and become thinner and maybe a bit taller. They seem to do whatever they want. So you really need to measure it in each position that you have a bracket going on it. This is so that the kit doesn't get sent to you and then when you go to install it you find out that they're wrong because you didn't get the right measurements. So you really want to take some time measuring it, and the boys will sort you out with exactly what you need. As for measuring your chassis, the boys at DIY Customs suggest measuring on the side of the vehicle with the fuel tank, because this will be typically harder to fit your brackets. So if you start at the most difficult, it should be much easier as you progress. And it will make sure that you don't take measurements on one side only to find out that they won't suit anymore. So measure where you've got the least space, and then you know that on the other side it'll be super easy. You want to measure 3 different locations, so rear, middle, and then front of your sill on the chassis, and you'll need to write those measurements down so that you can keep them for when you place your order. Gussets are also offered as part of the chassis mount kit. So this is a triangular piece that will sit between the chassis mount, which is a U piece, and then it leads to your bar that goes out to your slider, and the gusset will fill in this area here and strengthen up on any upward forces that might happen on your slider, which is pretty common. If you come down on a rock, you're pushing your slider up, so this will help prevent any bending in your bracket to slider mount. So once you've finished measuring up your slider mounts, so these are the U pieces, you need to measure how far out you want your sliders to be sat from the vehicle. So you will get pieces of tube that will mount horizontally, and this length here will decide how far out of the vehicle the slider will sit. So if you want your sliders tucked in nice and tight to the vehicle, you can opt for their standard fit, and if you want the sliders to hang further out of the vehicle, you can opt for their extended fit. The standard kit for these slider mounts is 6 pieces at 200mm long. The extended kit is 2 pieces of pipe at 200mm long, 2 pieces of pipe at 280mm long, and 2 pieces of pipe at 350mm long. DIY Customs also offer end caps, and these are just a little circle laser cut out. They've got a nice finish around the edge, ready to weld onto the pipe and close it off so you can prevent any rusting inside. I wouldn't bother making sliders if you're not going to end cap them, because they will rot out from the inside out. This is how you will prevent that, so don't forget to purchase these as well. So now you know how to get accurate measurements of exactly what you want, and let the boys down at DIY Customs start cutting you out a kit. So now what you need to do is decide whether you want to have it sent out to you or have it picked up. The boys offer freight all across Australia, including Tasmania. If you're looking to pick this kit up yourself directly from DIY Customs, the boys are located in Schofields, Western Sydney. So once you have all those measurements, you're able to place an order, and you can decide whether you want to go for a vehicle specific kit or you want to opt for a universal kit. So once you've taken your measurements, you've placed your order, the next step is unwrapping all the goodies that have just arrived. So you guys might be looking at this going, holy crap, that's too many pieces. How am I going to put this together? I've got multiple kits here so that I can show you guys what each different style looks like. So don't stress, I've got way too many parts here. I'm going to figure this out and show you guys exactly what I've got. So to start off with, we've got our 1800 long pipes. You'll get 2 pieces of straight pipe in your kit. So straight away you can pull those to the side, you know what they are. They're the only piece of straight pipe in the kit that is anywhere near this long. So depending on the kit you've purchased will change the next few pieces. So if you got the standard kit, you will have this piece here, which has a bend on both sides and it's quite long. So this is an 1800 kit standard bend. So this will sit on your slider like this, and that is what your slider will look like with some crosses in it. So I'll try and hold this up for you guys. So this is what your slider will look like. Alrighty guys, so this is the standard kick out kit. I actually got it wrong. So anywhere that you see me showing the standard kick out kit with a diagonal piece of bracing, that's incorrect. This kit comes with the vertical bracing. So I've got a scrap piece of pipe here just so I can show you guys what it looks like, because I've already welded together the rest of the kit. But this is what the standard kit looks like. Anywhere that you see me using a diagonal piece of bracing on the standard kit is incorrect. It comes with 2 of these vertical braces. The diagonal braces are for the single kick out and the double kick out. So the next kit is the single kick out. You'll have your main bar, you'll have this piece here, a bend on one side and a notch on the other side. And then you'll get a kick out, which is a bend on both sides on a shorter section of pipe with a notch on either end. So this is what that kit will look like. You can see we've got the kick out on one side and the standard on the other side. You guys may have seen this style on Roam Life's car. Awesome looking car, awesome looking kit. So these are the 2 styles that I won't be building. This is the single kick out, this is the standard kit. I haven't welded in the bracing in the standard kit, but I have tacked in the bracing in the single kick out, so I can show you guys what that will look like under the car. So this will allow you to basically angle the kit however you like. So if you want them up nice and sharp to the car, you can weld them like that if you want, or you can weld them directly flush. or you can have them poking out directly straight. It's really up to what the individual wants, which is awesome. So the standard kit is also nice because it's a bit more consistent. You don't have all the hoops poking out. If that's more your style, you can see it's nice and smooth the whole way through. So now that you guys have seen both the styles mocked up, we can get on to building the double hoop today. So this third kit is soon to be on DIY Customs website. It's the double kick out. So you get your single kick out and you put two of them on. Like so. So we've got our two kick outs, and then you get your center brace, which is this one, and it will sit between both kick outs like so, and that's the basis of your single kick out. I can't pick this one up to show you guys because there's way too many pieces to hold, but you guys will get to see it on the car. Now the rest of the pieces that you see over here are either for our chassis brackets or for the internal bracing of our sliders. Now an easy way to separate these is if they are notched on either side, they're going to be an internal piece for your slider. If they're notched on opposing sides, they're a 45 degree. You can see if I put it in here, those notches will mate up quite nicely on either side. If they're notched directly opposite, they will be a vertical mount. So they will sit vertically in between the sliders. And then the third pipe you can get will be notched on one side, and then they'll be straight cut on the other side. And this is a mount for the chassis bracket. So the flush side will go on the chassis side, and then the notch side will go on your slider side. Now the most important thing when we're building these, super easy because all the pieces are already pre-cut. The only thing you need to worry about is making sure it's all spaced evenly. So what we want to aim for here is symmetrical. We want everything to be spaced exactly the same on both sides of both the slider and both sides of the vehicle. Alrighty guys, so I've been playing around with these bars, trying to find out what I like and what I don't like. I quite liked this style here with the triangles because it's all matching, and you know, this bar here matches this bar, and then this bar matches this bar. There really is endless options with these sliders, you know, with the 3 different styles that you can order them in with the main hoops, and then with all the different infill bars that you can really chop these up and switch them around to really suit what you like. So I've settled on this one, and if you imagine the front of the car's going that way, all these bars will sort of angle towards the front of the car, and you still get that crisscross pattern sort of here and here and here with the bars going different directions. So you do get a little bit of crisscross, but then it sort of still flows with the car, I think. So I think this is what I'm going to go with. Alrighty guys, so now we're going to weld my sliders together. Alrighty guys, so we're completely finished welding this slider now. The last thing to do is put in these little end caps. Okay guys, so we're basically finished welding the sliders together. Now what we need to do is mount them. So this is where it gets a little bit tricky. Because you need to hold them up, try and keep them level with the car, and then put on your angle that you want. So I'm using 3 jack stands. They weren't tall enough, so I needed to chop them up with wood, and it's a little bit wobbly, so I'm going to be taking lots and lots of measurement to double check that these actually follow the angle of the car. So then we get our chassis brackets. I'm going to crawl under the car and throw these up, put a bolt through them, clamp them up tight, and make sure that the bottom is all the way up to the bottom of the chassis. So it's been a lot of tweaking and fiddling to get these where they are. I've got heavy duty springs in the rear, so my car sits a little bit downhill, so it makes it a little bit hard to mock these up. So I used a little piece of paper up under that just to chalk it up that little bit more. I went and found something that was about the gap I was looking for, and you just sort of go through and measure that gap there and go, yeah, that's close enough. And you come over here and do the same thing, stick it in there, yeah, that's close enough. And that's how I was able to figure out how close I was. I measured the distance from the sliders to the rear tyre and the distance from the sliders to the front tyre, made that match up, and then I've basically just got it running parallel with that little seam. If you can see that seam under there, I've got it running parallel with that. So that's sort of how I've squared this up. So I've sort of got this angle here, and that will also help me when I go to put in scrub bars. So the upward angle will already have me sort of aiming up towards the guard. So I think this is what I've settled on. You can see we've got one slider mount there that I've tucked underneath my harness, and you can see the next one back. So now we need to measure up that distance and go cut our chassis mount bars to that distance there. Alrighty guys, so I've cut down my little bits of pipe to the length that I need. Got the slider mounted up where I like it. Double check your measurements, triple check your measurements before you weld your brackets on. Make sure your brackets are done up tight and they're mounted up as high as they can be. And before you do any welding, just remember to disconnect your battery. I'm going to crawl under here and I'm going to tack these in place, and then we'll drop the slider off and we'll weld them up fully. Alrighty guys, so I'm all done welding. This is what they look like. I think they're pretty mean with the double kick out. I love the way they look so far. We've got two of our mounts done on both sides. Now we just need to make up our front mounts, which just with the design of the Patrol chassis, you need to basically use a piece of flat bar and take up the body mount gusset as opposed to clamping around the chassis like these ones. And that's just to do with where the radius arms mount. They sort of get in the way a little bit. So that's what we need to do on the front of them. So it took me a fair while to weld these up because you can see I've got all the extra bracing in here. So you can see I've got 4 large braces and then 2 short braces. So if you want to have your sliders look exactly like this, you'll need to opt in for some extra bracing, because I think these kits come with 2 long braces, so 1 at each end and then 1 in the middle. So you can see I've got double the bracing here. I didn't have the best time welding this because I'm not used to welding around pipe. It's quite hard. If you're good at welding on a flat surface, you can imagine it's a little bit more difficult welding around. There's just a little bit more involved. That, and I'm running a different wire size to what I normally run, so it just took a little bit of getting used to. So these aren't my best welds, but I've got no doubt that they will be strong enough. So our front mount is basically going to sit on this here. We'll drill some holes through it, mount it just like that. Alrighty guys, so I just made up these 2 brackets here. I think this is 6mm steel with a radius, and it's about 250mm long by 42mm wide. So those are the measurements if you guys want to make these up yourselves. Now obviously not everyone has a plasma cutter in their backyard, so get creative. You could use a hole saw to do the notch, or you could just do your best with a grinder. You are just going to weld this onto the pipe anyway, so even if this isn't a perfect fit, you're just going to fill it with weld anyway, and the rest of it you should be able to do with an angle grinder. So this is what I've got, and we're going to hot glue them in under the car.
Alrighty guys, so I got those mounts welded on. The last thing I need to do is throw them back up under the car and drill some holes through the body mount and through this plate, just so we can bolt it up. And then once we've done that, I'll pull them back out. Going to give them a good clean up, get rid of any welding spatter, anything that you can cut yourself on, because you don't want to go jumping into the car barefoot and cut yourself open on the sliders. So spend a good bit of time cleaning them up before you paint them, and then we're going to throw some paint on them and put them under the car. I'm not entirely finished with these just yet. I know that I want to do brush bars and maybe some high lift jack lift points along the sliders here. So even though I'm going to paint them, I'm just going to use cheap paint because I know I'm going to take it back off in a couple months. Alright guys, so this is what they look like underneath with the mounts. So that's my exhaust mount welded onto the rear one. That's because I wanted this bracket right here and it was right on my exhaust mount. So you got to compromise and come up with something. So that's what I've done. And then here's our second mount and then our third mount up the front. Now, if I could redo these again, which I might come back to this later because I know I'm doing brush bars and other stuff, we're going to put in some gussets here and here and here and here. So if you're doing this on a patrol, order extra gussets and do here and here because that will strengthen it. You only get 3 mounting points on here, so make sure that these 3 are the strongest part of your slider because that's what holds up the rest of it. Alrighty guys, so we've got our sliders welded, painted and fitted. They turned out absolutely awesome. I think they look really mean on this car. I think this is a great product for any of you guys that are looking to start fabricating on your car. You want to start building stuff. These are awesome because it's so easy for beginners to get into. I think you could achieve this in a weekend and it cuts out all the cutting, notching and bending. So hopefully you guys have learned something from watching this video and maybe you can use it step by step to make your own sliders. If you guys are looking at getting some sliders for yourself, click the link below to go view DIY Custom's website to see their full range of products. I've also got a discount code in the description for you guys to use. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video and I hope it helps you out. I'll see you guys in the next one.